The Seder. We're up to Daf Mem Beis Amud Aleph, about 6 lines from the top. V'Amar Rabbi Lazar. Another thing Rabbi Lazar said, Kol Eida sheyesh ba chanufa me'usa kanida. Any community that has chanufa, has chanifus, that people are giving praises just to further their cause, but the praises are not sincere, is disgusting like a nidash. Nemar ki adas chanef galmud. So adas chanef means a community that does chanufa. And galmud is a word that describes a nidash. Because we find that in the islands, they call a nida galmuda. Why galmuda? What does galmuda mean? Gemula dami baila. This woman is weaned from her husband. The Amar Rabbi Lazar, another thing Rabbi Lazar said, Kol Eida sheyesh b'chanufa l'seif gaila. Any community that has chanufa is ultimately exile. Because in this pasuk it says that a community of chanufa is galmud. And it says in another pasuk, so galmuda is a description of the state of galus. Galmuda is right next to goyla v'sura v'gein. Amar Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba, Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba said, Arba Kittas and Makablas Pnei Shechina. There's 4 groups that do not receive the countenance of the Shechina. Kat Leitzim, a group of scoffers, Kat Chanifim, that's what we're talking about over here, Chanufa, the Kat Shakranim, liars, the Kat Nesapi Lashon Hara, and a group that speaks Lashon Hara. Kat Leitzim, how do we know that a Kat Leitzim does not Makabal Pnei Shechina, the Siv Mashach Yadei Es Leitzim? He withdraws from the Leitzim. Kat Chanifim, the Chsiv, the fun of Chanif, Yahweh, that a Chanif cannot come before him. Kat Shkarim or Shakranim, the Chsiv Dei V'Shkarim Leikin L'Neged Eine. One who speaks Shaker cannot be before my eyes. Kat Mesapri Lashon Hara, the Chsiv Ki Lei Keil Chafetz Resha Ata Le'Yigur Chara. That you're not a God who desires wickedness. Evil cannot dwell with you. So Lashon Hara is Ra. So it can't be with Eibishter. Tzadik Ata Hashem, you Hashem are righteous. Le'Yagur B'Mgur Chara, that which is evil cannot dwell with you. Hadna L'Chelu Nemar. Okay.
Is this the pasuk we use for Atzilus? Lo Yaguru Chara.
Here the lashon of the pasuk is Lo Yagur B'Megur Chara. I don't know. There's another pasuk Lo Yagur Chara. I don't know. Okay. Says the Mishnah. Now, one of the things that had to be said in Lashon HaKodesh was the Mashuach Milchama, the Kohen who was anointed especially to speak to the Jewish people before they go to war. He had to speak to them in Lashon HaKodesh. So Mashuach Milchama Meshasha Medaber Ala'am B'Lashon HaKodesh Hayim Medaber. The Mashuach Milchama, the Kohen who was anointed specifically for the purpose of speaking to the nation before the war, would speak to them in Lashon HaKodesh. Shenemar, as it says, when you will come close, when you will approach the war, when Nigash HaKohen, the Kohen should approach. Which Kohen? The Kohen Mashuach Milchama. That refers to the Kohen who was anointed specifically for this purpose. Diber el ha'am, he should speak to the nation, b'Lashon HaKodesh. He has to speak to them b'Lashon HaKodesh. Amar aleim, and he says to them, Shema Yisrael v'Gemer, listen here, Yidden, aleiveichem v'lei alacheichem. You're going to wage war against your enemies, not against your brothers. La Yehuda al Shimon v'lei Shimon al Binyamin. Don't think this is a war like Yehuda against Shimon or Shimon against Binyamin. Shim tiplu b'yadam yirachmu aleichem, which if you fall in their hands, they'll have mercy on you. Kamashanamar, as it says, when there was a war, a civil war by Yidden. So it says, Vayakumu ha'nashim ashanikvu b'shemes, the people whose names were mentioned rose, Vayachziku b'shivya, and they held on to the captives, V'chol manumeim, Bilbishum and Ashalol, all the naked ones from the captives, they dressed from the spoils, Vayalbishum, they dressed them, Vayanilim, they gave them shoes, Vayachilim, they gave them to eat, Vayashkum, and they gave them to drink, Vayiskum, and they smeared their wounds, Vayinalum, V'chaleirim, and they led them on donkeys, l'chol keshel, anybody who was stumbling, anybody who couldn't walk, they gave them donkeys to ride on. Vayivim Yericha Yilatmarim, and they brought them to Yericha, the city of date palms, Eitz Lachehem, to their brothers. Vayashuvu Shemrein v'Gemer, and they returned to Shemrein. So when Yidden have a war against each other, even if one side loses the war, not at the end of the world, because their brothers will have Rachmanas on them. But over here, you should know, Aleveichem atam helchem, you're going against your enemies. Shem tiplu b'yadam ein berachlim aleichem. If you fall in their hands, they're not going to have any mercy on you. So don't let your hearts be softened. Don't let your hearts be fearful. Al tiru, don't fear. Al tachbasun, don't get frightened. Al yerech levavchem, don't let your hearts get soft. Neitzal susim, because of the noise of the stamping of the horses. Or the swords knocking against each other. Al tiru, don't be frightened, because of the shields that are banging against each other. Shifas akalgasim, and the flow of troops. You see so many troops, you get frightened. Al tachbazu mikel kronis. Al tachbazu, don't get frightened from the sound of the horns that are being blown. Al tartzu mipnei kel tzvachis, don't get scared from the screaming. Hashem is going, your God is going with you. The Goyim are coming with the victory of flesh and blood. You're coming with the victory of Hashem. The Philistines came to fight the Yidden with the victory of Goliath, with the strength of Goliath. What happened in the end? In the end, he fell to the sword. And all the Philistines fell with him. Bnei Ammon came with the victory of Shevach, who was their general. Maya Seife, what happened in the end? L'seif nafal b'cherev. In the end, he fell to the sword. The nafal imay, and they fell with him. The Atem came, but you Yidden are not like that. Hashem Elokeichem ha'elech imachem nilachem lachem b'gemer. Hashem, your God, is going with you to fight for you. Zamachnei Arin, and that refers to the Arin accompanying the Yidden to war. Frek the Gemara, Maika Amar. What is the meaning of that the Mashuach Melchama speaks in Lashon HaKodesh? Because it says v'diber al ha'am. How does V'diber al ha'am tell us that he speaks in Lashon HaKodesh? Says the Gemara, Hachi Kamar. Shenemar V'diber, because it says by the Kayin speaking to the nation, V'diber. Ulahalo na'imer, and by Matan Torah it says, we're coming to Shavuos, Moshe Yedaber, V'halikim Yanenu B'kol. Moshe speaks, and the Eibishter responds with a voice. Ma'alahalam B'Lashon HaKodesh, so just like the Moshe Yedaber by Matan Torah isn't Lashon HaKodesh, Afkan B'Lashon HaKodesh. So here also when the Kayin speaks to the nation, he speaks to the troops, he speaks to speak in Lashon HaKodesh, V'diber and Moshe Yedaber. It says the Kayin should approach and speak to the nation. I might think that any Kayin is good for this. So it says that the further down the line, the Shaitrim, the law officers, should speak to the nation. Just like law officers are appointed in that position, so the Kayin has to be an appointed Kayin, not just any Kayin. The Ema Kayin Gadol, perhaps it means the Kayin Gadol, he's an appointed Kayin, maybe the Kayin Gadol should do this. Dumya the Shaiter, it has to be similar to the law enforcement officers that are mentioned later in the pasuk. Ma Shaiter sheyesh memuna al gabov, just like the law enforcement officer has someone that is appointed over him, to oversee him. Av Kayin sheyesh memuna al gabov, the Kayin that has to do this job has to be someone who has an overseer over him. The Kayin Gadol could fit the bill as well, because even though the Kayin Gadol is the top Kayin, but the king is over him. So as the Gemara Bavidase Kamar, he needs somebody overseeing him in his work. In other words, the Kayin Gadol in his work, he's the top man. The fact that there's a king over him has nothing to do with his work. The Gemara Ve'emas Gan. Maybe it should be the assistant Kayin Gadol. So the Gemara is Gan Lav Memunahu. This Gan is not appointed for any specific position. The Tanya Amar Reb Chanina is Gan HaKayanim. Reb Chanina is Gan HaKayanim, who was himself the assistant Kayin Gadol, said, Lamas Gan Memuna. What is the function of the assistant Kayin Gadol? It has one function. Shem Ira Psul Bei Psul B'Kayin Gadol. If the Kayin Gadol becomes puzzle for whatever reason, Nichnas Mishamash Tachtav, he is ready to take over at any point and pinch hit for the Kayin Gadol. So he doesn't really have a task that he's appointed for. He's just ready. In case the Kayin Gadol, for some reason, cannot serve his function, he can take over. So therefore, he is not considered Memuna, because he's not appointed for the task that he's doing right now. The Amar Aleim Shema Yisrael. The Kayin says to the Yidden, Shema Yisrael, listen here, Yidden. Ma'ishna Shema Yisrael. Why does he start with the word Shema Yisrael? Amar Rabbi Yechanan ben Yechoy. Rabbi Yechanan said in the name of Rabbi Shimon ben Yechoy, Amar Lamakadosh Baruch Hu Yisrael. The Eibusha says to the Yidden, if the only merit that you have is that you read the Shema morning and evening, you will not be delivered into their hands.
That connects beautiful with Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai said, if someone doesn't have time, even by just saying Kriya Shema, they have the schar of learning Torah Yom and V'layla.
Yep, beautiful.
Nice.
It says, don't let your hearts be softened, don't fear. The Kayin speaks to them twice. Achas b'sfar, once at the border. Achas b'mulchama, once in the battlefield. B'sfar mahu eimer, what does he say at the border? He says, Shimu dvarai ma'archei ha'mulchama v'chizru. Listen to my words in the rows of war, and those that need to go back, because they're not suited to go to war, as the Kayin enumerates all the people that are not shaykh to go, they should return. What does he say when they're actually on the battlefield? Don't let your hearts be soft. Don't be fearful. Don't get frightened. This corresponds to the four things that the Goyim would do just to frighten their adversaries. Megifim, I think, is banging their shields against each other. Umeriyim, and that is blowing shofar. Tzayvchim, screaming. V'reimsin, and treading with stamping with their horses, make a lot of noise. And these four ways they're trying to frighten their adversaries. So therefore, this don't be fearful. Plishtim bo ben etzchenish al Goliath chulu says that the Plishtim came with the victory of Goliath. Goliath, why is he called Goliath? Amar Rabbi Yechanan, and Rabbi Yechanan said, "Amad begili panim b'fnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu," because he stood with a chutzpah, which is called gili panim, before the Eibishter. Shenemar, it says, "B'ru lachem ish v'yeda delai." Choose for you a man and let him come down and fight with me. The ein ish al HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So when he said "B'ru lachem ish v'yeda delai," he was referring to the Eibishter. The Eibishter should come fight with me. Shenemar Hashem ish milchama. Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So the Eibishter said, "Adeni mapilei de ben ish." He wants an ish to come and fight with him. I'm going to show him he'll have his downfall through a ben ish. Shenemar, it says in the pasuk, "V'David ben ish Efrasi hazeh." David, the son of this ish Efrasi. So David is called the ben ish. He's the one that's going to cause Goliath to fall. Amar Rabbi Yechanan mishum Meir. Rabbi Yechanan said the name of the Meir. B'shleisha became mislach the people Esei Rasha. This Rasha Goliath, there's three incidents where his mouth trapped him. He said something that he shouldn't have said, and that was his downfall. The first was Echad Brulacham Ish V'Yeda Delai. First was when he said, "Choose for you a man and let him come down to me." So I think the Pivich Shiloi over here is the fact that he said, "Eli" sounds like Olai. He should come down upon me, meaning that the man that you're going to choose to fight me is going to be victorious over me. He's going to knock me down. He's going to be on top of me. The second time that his mouth trapped him is if he'll be able to wage war with me and smite me. So he put the words in. He said the words. He that he will smite me. And the third time that he said something he shouldn't have said, he said to David, "You become a dog that you're coming to me with sticks." So basically, he said, "I'm a dog." So first he said that the person who's going to fight with me is going to come down on top of me. Second of all, he said he's going to smite me. And then he said, "I'm a dog." Didn't David also say, "But you're coming to me with a sword and with a spear and with a kidain," is another form of ammunition. So David also said, "Bo Eli." As the Gemara, what's the Aleph? David Hadar Amar Le, but David said afterwards, "Vanoichi bo elecha b'shem Hashem tzvai selekei Yisrael." Became Marchas Yisrael. I'm coming to you in the name of Hashem, the God of Marchas Yisrael, Asher Chirafta, that you blaspheme. So David covered himself by saying that Anoichi bo elecha, I'm coming to you, just like you're coming to me, I'm coming to you. It says that the Philistine, which refers to Goliath, approached every morning and every evening, early in the morning and late at night. So why did he come dafka in the morning and in the evening to speak to Yidden to frighten them? He knew the keach of Yidden is the fact that they say Shema every morning and every evening. So dafka hashkem v'hariv, early in the morning and late at night, the time when Yidden say Shema, that's when he came to distract them. He stood for 40 days. The 40 days were corresponding to the 40 days in which the Torah was given. The 40 days that Moshe Rabbeinu was on the mountain receiving the Torah. What's the connection? Rashi says, as a result of the 40 days, the Torah was delayed. It says the Yidden didn't get the Torah from Moshe Rabbeinu until he came down from the mountain 40 days later to tell them what Hashem said. So because of those 40 days in which Torah was delayed to be given to Yidden, that gave him the kayach to stand for 40 days and threaten the Jewish people. It says that Ish HaBeinayim came out of the camps of the Plishtim. My Beinayim, what does Beinayim mean? Amar Rav said, he was built with no blemish. Shmuel says he was the average amongst his brothers. They were all giants. The Talmidim of Shila said, he was made like a building. Rabbi Yechanan says, what does Beinayim mean? Barmeya Papi v'chodanami. He had 100 fathers and one mother. In other words, his mother wasn't very modest. The Goliath Shmei, and his name was Goliath, Migas, from the city of Gas. Tani Rav Yosef learned in the Braisa, what does it mean, Goliath Shmei Migas? Shakol Dashanis Imai Gas. Everybody threshed his mother like a wine press. Continuation to what we said before about the 100 fathers. Ksiv Ma'aris B'Kanin and Ma'archais. The Ksiv in the pasuk we said before. Hashem Elokeim Ma'archais Yisrael. So the Ksiv is Ma'aris without the Chaf, and the Kri is Ma'archais. Tani Rav Yosef. So Rav Yosef said that the word Ma'aris without the Chaf is from the word Ha'ara, which is Tchilas Biyah. Shahakol Heru Be'imai. Ksiv Harpa, Ksiv Harpa, Ksiv Arpa. In one pasuk it says Harpa. In one pasuk it says Arpa. His mother's name was either Harpa or Arpa. So Rabbi Shmuel, we have a machlekes Rabbi Shmuel how this works exactly. Chadamar, one of them says Harpa Shmar. True name was Arpa. The reason she's called Arpa is because the way people had relations with her was Eirfen Eisem Achareh. Just like the back of the neck is called the Eiref, so approaching from the back is called Eirfen Eisem Achareh. Chadamar Arpa Shma. The other one said her proper name was Arpa. Everyone was threshing her like wheat grains that are crushed. So it says in the pasuk, the woman took and spread out the curtain over the well, and she spread out the harifes, which are the kernels of wheat. Harifes be'eli. The Iba is saying, and if you want, I can tell you from this pasuk. I don't know how this pasuk helps us. If Gershon, you have something about you?
It's about squashing, not tichtash. Squashing, b'machtesh.
An appliance that does this squishing. You say harifa is be'eli.
Isn't Eli also a type of squashing? Well, Gershon.
Yeah, Eli is a machtesh.
Okay, so that's the harifas of the crushed wheat.
Don't say anything here, actually.
Porridge out of the wheat. Okay. Anyway, that's our Bas Ela Yivol Yuldu LaHarpa Begas. The following four were born to Harpa in Gas. Gas is the Pashtus, the capital of Plishtim. And they eventually fell in the hands of David and his servants. Who were these four children of Harpa? Rav Chisda said they were Safu, Mada, and Goliath for Yishbi Benay. They fell in the hands of David and his servants. It says in the pasuk, "Vatishak Arpa lachamaisa," by the story with Naomi. Right? Naomi had two sons, Machlin and Kilian, and they went to Moav and they married Rus and Arpa. So it says that after Machlin and Kilian died, so Naomi wanted to go back to Eretz Yisrael. So her daughters-in-law, Rus and Arpa, said, "We're going to come back with you." And she told them, "Why do you want to come back with me? Stay over here. You can remarry. You can set up families. Why should you come back with me?" So it says that after Naomi made their argument that they should stay in Moav and they shouldn't come back with her, so it says Vatishak Arpa lachamaisa, that Arpa kissed her mother-in-law goodbye. The Rus dafkaba, and Rus insisted on cleaving to her. Rabbi Yitzchak said, Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Eibishter said, Yavayu b'nei hanashuka, the children of the one who kissed should come and fall in the hands of the one who cleaved to her. So David the Melech was a descendant of Rus, and Goliath was the son of Arpa. So this is the Neshuka and the Dvuka. So Bnei HaNeshuka refers to Goliath, so fall in the hands of David the Melech was Bnei HaDvuka. Darash Rabba Darshan B'schar Arba Demois Shehirida Arpa Al Chamaisa, in merit to the 4 tears that Arpa shed for her mother-in-law. Zachsa v'yatzim ben arba gibayim. She merited to have 4 sons that were gibayim, that were incredibly strong. Shenamar, it says Vatisena Kela Vatifkena Oid. She raised Vatisena Kelim. They raised their voices and they cried even more. So we derive from the
why is it such a big yichus?
Well, to cry for a Yiddish.
She cried because she was given 4 gibayim. But what's the big yichus about them? They were all Rishoyim.
Gibayim. I want to know what the yichus of crying is. They got mentioned in the Torah. Basically.
Well, we see also was it Eglon that he stood up to hear the message of Hashem, and because of that, he had Rus come from him.
Rus is not yichus. But what's the yichus to have Goliath come from you? Is Rabbi Gershon's question.
Well, it's a gibor for them. It's great yichus. Yeah, they are known. I mean, if you ask Plishtim Goliath, he's known around the whole world. So, for the goyim, that's yichus.
Okay. Ksiv chetz chanisei v'kaninen eitz chanisei. So the ksiv is chetz chanisei. Chetz means an arrow, and the kri is eitz chanisei, the wood of his spear. Amar Rabbi Lazar, so Rabbi Lazar said, what does chetz mean? Chetz from the word chetzi, half. Everything we've described so far about Goliath doesn't even describe half of his praise. From here we learn that we shouldn't speak about the praise of Rasha, and therefore the Torah only tells you half of his praise. So if that's the case, you shouldn't speak the praise of Rasha. Let's not talk about it at all. Says the Gemara, this is to inform us the praise of David. Tell you that even though he was strong, David was able to knock him down.
As we shouldn't talk of this praise of a goy, the cloud. One shouldn't talk.
Yeah, but over here it's negayah to talk about his praise, because only then can we appreciate what was achieved by David by knocking him down. But the Torah doesn't overdo it. It says that the children of Ammon came with the victory of Shevach, who was their leader general. It says the Gemara, Ksiv Shevach. In one pasuk he's called Shevach, and in one pasuk he's called Shevach. Rabbi Shmuel. So we have again a machlekes in Rabbi Shmuel. Chad Amar Shevach Shmei. Rav says his proper name was Shevach. Lama Nikra Shma Shevach. Why is he called Shevach? She'asui k'Shevach, because he was made like a ladder.
Like it was a great height, like a dovecote.
A dovecote, very tall. Thank you. The other says his name was Shevach. Why is he called Shevach? Shevach means to spill out. Anyone who saw him got so frightened. He would be poured out before him like a kitain is a jug of some sort. So it describes his strength.
Very graphic.
Ashpasei ki kever pasuach. It says that his ashpas where he threw his arrows, used arrows. Yeah, it was like an open grave. This is written about Nebuchadnezzar, Rashi says. Kulam gibayim, they were all strong. Rabbi Shmuel, so we have machlekes Rabbi Shmuel, Amri Rabbi Ami Rabbi Asi. Others say this is a machlekes Rabbi Ami Rabbi Asi. Chad Amar one says B'shah Shazer Kin Chetz Eisen Ashpatis Ashpatis Shochalol. Ashpasek Kever B'suach means that when they threw an arrow, they made dumps, garbage dumps, full of dead bodies. Shema Taimar Sh'umim Mikrav. In case you think that they were very skilled in battle before they were able to do this, they were actually very, very strong. Chad Amar B'shah Sha'esim Sarteihem. And one said when they moved their bowels, when they went to be excused, they made heaps and heaps, garbage dumps full of manure, of excretion. And in case you think the reason for that is because they had stomach issues, they were quite healthy. The reason that they produced so much excretion was because they were so big and strong. Amar Rav Meri said, from here we learn, if a person produces a lot of excretion, he has a stomach illness. because the Gemara said, Shema Tamer, so obviously having a lot of excretion is excrement is a symptom of illness. What difference does it make if it is or isn't a symptom of illness? Says Gemara, litrach b'nafshei, whether you should worry about it, whether you should go see a doctor. It says in the pasuk, "Da'aga b'leiv ish yashchena." The person has worry in his heart. Yashchena means, I think the simple pshat yashchena is you should let it slip away. Rav Ami v'Rav Asi. So Rav Ami and Rav Asi have machlekes what the pasuk is trying to tell us. Chad Amar Yisichena.
Behemshech to litrach b'nafshei.
Huh?
This comes behemshech to litrach b'nafshei.
Why it comes in over here, I don't know. I think it's Rav Ami and Rav Asi. Another machlekes Rav Ami and Rav Asi and how they explain the. Before we said this, Rav and Shmuel v'Amri lo Rav Ami v'Rav Asi. So this is another machlekes Rav Ami and Rav Asi. Rav Ami and Rav Asi Chad Amar Yashchena B'dai. I think it says you should move it, slip it away from your mind. Chad Amar Yisichena la'acheirim, and the other one says you should discuss it with others. I think it says Na'yim Yim that when it says Yisichena la'acheirim, you should discuss it with others. It's la'acheirim b'guf, but ita imay b'nefesh. People that are physically someone else, but they're with him in spirit and in his soul, they're close to him, good friends that really care about him and are interested in his. They're not gonna just hear his problems and spread them out in the whole community. Okay, we will hold it over here, and as Hashem, tomorrow the blätter are starting to get a little bigger. And I think we can still handle it in the time that we have.
At 2 o'clock.
Tomorrow's Friday, so
Right.
it'll be
2 o'clock. Every works for everybody.
2 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Yeah.
Thank you so much, and I really enjoyed the comedy share today. And there was only one thing I was thinking by the pasuk that it says "Veyered Elai." And obviously Rashi says the Olai, but I think also from the lashon of Vayered, it means that he's upper, he's on top of me. Actually, you did kind of mention it. The fact that we say there is another Gemara that says that who always the upper hand, the guy at the top always has the upper hand.
Right, so that's right. When you walk with a guy, you're supposed to make sure to be on. If you're walking on a hill, you should be in a higher place, and let the guy be in the lower.
Right.
place.
So that's also Vayered Elai. The fact that he says Vayered, that means that he's on top, coming down to me.
Okay.
No.
Stay there. Ich bin mekabel.
Okay. Shkayach.
Sei matzliach and bring Mashiach.
Amen.
I just,
Man.
oh.